Hi, friends. Welcome to Getting Your Real Estate Life Together. This is Tracy Hicks with All Things Real Estate. And today I'm super excited to be talking to my friend Antoine Dean.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello.
I'm going to let Antoine introduce himself so that he can properly give us his bio.
Okay.
So go for it.
Okay. So my name is Antoine Dean. I'm a real estate agent here in Portland. I've been in the business since 2015. So like mid 2015, but I don't count the first 6 months.
Ooh, but you're in that good 5-year mark.
Right. So I count them now that I'm at the 5-year mark. But
Yeah.
initially I always say like 2016. But yeah, so I've been in the business for 5 years now. I kind of focus, or I don't necessarily say focus, like I take all business, but like my specialty, I would say, is like multifamily or investments and then new construction. So that's kind of what I like to do. And then as far as like bio, I have a vlog that I do. It's called Making of a Mogul. So I just like document my real estate journey, like ups, downs, everything, and just try to be like genuine as possible. And
we're going to jump into that.
Yeah.
So save a little bit because I want to talk about that.
And so that, and then other than that, I mean, growing up, I was just super entrepreneurial. So I always like to say I grew up selling a lot of things that I probably shouldn't have. And so that's where a lot of my, I would say, entrepreneurial skills kind of like came from, and they've transferred greatly into real estate.
Good.
So here I am today with you.
And I'm so happy that you're here. I want to talk about, you got in 2015.
Yes.
How old were you when you got into real estate?
I was 23 I don't know why I can't remember. I think it was 22 or 23. That's how I know that I'm getting older when I can't remember. I think it was 22 though.
And how did you end up like choosing real estate?
So,
because I was not thinking about a career at 23, 24 years old.
So initially I did horrible in school, right? So I'll start with this. I did horrible in school. I graduated with like a 2.17 GPA. And so anyway, well, I'm saying that to say that like in high school, I used to actually in the back of the class, like read real estate books. It was something I've always liked. So like growing up, my favorite board game, it was Monopoly. Like I was playing Monopoly last night with one of my friends.
I can't stand Monopoly. It goes on and on.
If you play by the rules, it's shorter.
Well, and I'm a mom. So like playing with the kids growing up, it was like the longest game ever. You'd have to leave it on the table and like come back to it later.
Right. So long story short, I've always liked Monopoly. And like even on one of my episodes on my vlog, we're playing Monopoly with real money. That's the vlog. But I've always liked real estate. And so it was something that, I don't know, I just always liked the idea of like owning something, like having something. So I don't know, I've always liked it. So to move forward, basically in high school, like I was supposed to do it when I got out of high school. So a teacher at the time was like, if you get a job for a year and save up 20 grand, we can buy you something. So this is 2011. And like at the time, like I had the money, but I didn't know about equity, appreciation, tax write-off. So I didn't do it. And then I was supposed to move to Oklahoma, where I have an aunt who owns like 30 houses, and they're all like, but they're all like 20 grand, 50 grand.
But still.
And so, so I was supposed to move there, but I didn't. And so like, I just continued to kind of do what I was doing then, started like some other online things and lost like $40,000 in like 18 months, got depressed, stopped doing what I was doing, got a job to get into real estate. So that's like the short story.
Okay. So do you feel like because of your auntie, do you feel like you had at least some knowledge or like, were you like, I want to do that too? Or was that just what your
I never even
did?
met her. My dad was in jail. And so my dad was in jail. He's like, you need because I would talk about real estate. And so I would talk to him, and he was in jail. It's like, you need to talk to your aunt in Oklahoma. She has a bunch of houses kind of thing. But I like never even met her. So I never even went out there. So no.
Okay.
So there was nothing that I learned.
Bearing.
That had no. So I didn't know anything about what she had going on.
Okay. So also too, when you were considering real estate or, thinking you were going to get into it, did you get into it because you wanted to build your own business as well in real estate?
I've always liked the idea of being an investor.
Okay.
Like that was always,
that was from the beginning.
Yeah, that was from the beginning. Like I didn't, even in high school, it wasn't that I wanted to be a real estate agent. That was never the thing. I always wanted to be a real estate developer and like own stuff. It was like, the real estate agent thing came, like, I didn't think about it till I was probably 20, like shortly after I thought about it. Cause like I was doing other things.
At the ripe old age of 20,
right.
21.
Yeah. So I'm thinking like, okay, how I want to invest, right? But it's like, okay, you need money to invest. You have to know how to invest. So like, how can I get to the point where I can invest? So it's like, okay, being a real estate agent. So like growing up selling product, like you just, you sell a product, right? So I was thinking like, sometimes you can have a product that's inferior for whatever reason, and you still have to find a way to be able to sell it, right?
Yep.
So I thought like, okay, being a real estate agent, like people think of it like you're actually buying and selling houses when it's really just relationships. So I've always been good with the relationships piece. So I'm like, if I don't have to sell a product, like I just have to sell myself and be who I am. Like I can think I can make this thing work. So I used it as the entryway to being able to learn about real estate, to be able to build those relationships, to learn about flips, to learn about investing. So it was like my way in.
Okay.
So that's how I looked at it. So I got paid to do it.
And to learn the business.
Right. That's what I'm saying. I got paid to learn the business, learn everything. Like what I've accomplished now, I couldn't have done any of it without being a real estate agent.
Right. So when did you get your first investor client?
My first investor client,
because you were doing like just regular,
retail. Everything was everything was traditional. Everything. So everything I started off like initially. So I guess when I started off initially in 2015, I was working under a guy for a very brief period of time who all he did was new construction. Like he found deals and land off market. So he kind of like opened my mind to it,
right,
and showed me like, okay, so I like he's the person that I would say like, oh, I see how you can get rich. Like I get it. Right. And so fast forward, I end up leaving that company, not working there. And that's when I went to Living Room. And then from there, like I couldn't focus on trying to do that right out the gate. Like I need to make some money.
Yeah.
I need to be able to like to sustain myself and learn the business. Like I have to fill out the contract. So like I kind of looped around, but like first investor client was in my year 2016.
Oh wow.
That was, and he bought something and he built like an ADU in the basement. So like for guys who don't know what ADU is, it's just like an apartment inside of the house. So he built like an apartment in the basement. Yeah. So that was like my first investor client and that. And so how I kind of like went into it a little bit further, there was something that I was listing that someone was like, hey, I might have someone who wants to buy this. They're a flipper and they're a developer. They would tear this down, build triplexes. My client was game for it. It didn't work out, but the developer took me to lunch and was like, I'm sorry that didn't work out, and so we just sat down and we had lunch. And so like, he was the one who like I started to find him lots. So maybe we had lunch, maybe a year later, I bring him a deal and it's like, hey, I have this thing. And so that's where it kind of started. So it was like probably end of 2017, I would say that I started to really focus on like the development or like flips and learning the zoning code and knowing all of that kind of stuff.
When you really caught the bug.
Yeah.
I mean, and the cool thing about that is that, I mean, how awesome that you get to do what you love,
right?
Which is, the benefit of being a real estate agent,
right?
If you love it,
right. Sometimes,
just like anything, yeah,
sometimes.
Exactly. Depends on the day,
right?
Or the client.
But
I mean, but that's the kind of stuff that like you get to incorporate. That was one of the things I wanted to talk to you about too, because you're really incorporating your life in your business as well, like. You're doing your own, portfolio, which is what every realtor is told to do. Mm-hmm. Like that is how you set yourself up. And that's, all realtors should be investors. They should be investing in property.
Right.
We see stuff off market.
Right.
That's a huge part of being a realtor, right?
No, I agree.
It's not for everyone.
No.
Not everybody is going to do it.
No.
And some people do it, in a million different ways. But talk us through like where you're at right now and kind of how you got there a little bit. And then I want to know what your plan is after, because we chatted a little before the podcast. And I'm always like, wait, let's save that. Let's save that. So I want to hear more about that. But you're up to how many units right now?
So I close on something tomorrow and it'll be 10 units, including 2 tiny houses on wheels that I have on a back lot.
Okay. So go back and talk about your first purchase and how that
first
happened.
purchase. So my first purchase was March of 2018. So what I wanted to do, because and I started working with the developers, like I guess now that I'm thinking about it, mid 2017. And so I wanted to find something where I could do like a lot confirmation. So here in our city, we have like a lot confirmation, which is like easy and fast, and you have subdivision. So I'm like, I want to find something that's on an extra lot, subdivided. So then I'm into my house for like little to nothing. Right. So the idea was like, if I could buy something for $350, slice a lot off, sell the lot for $125, and be into the house for like a low amount. And so that didn't work. I didn't actually find it. And so
I was going to say,
I didn't find it on my first one.
That's half the battle.
Right. I didn't find it on my first one. So I bought a duplex.
Okay.
And so prior, like when I wasn't making any money, I enrolled in this program called an IDA program. So it's like a 3-to-1 match. So I put in like $3,000, and since I was in, or like you have to be in there for like 13 months to get the full match. And I was in there. So like they gave me like some extra bonus thing. So I put up 3,000 and they gave me 9.
Wow.
So I bought a duplex, FHA, 3.5% down. The down payment was 12,000. So like this 3,000 that I put away was 100 a month for 13 months. And so like I just maxed it out at the end. So it was kind of like the money in my head, it wasn't mine.
Yeah.
So I bought a duplex it was on the market for $350. I made an offer for $345. And then I already had my down payment, and then I negotiated that my closing costs be paid instead of the inspections.
Okay.
And so long story short, I came out like 10,000 ahead buying it.
Okay.
So I made money on my first purchase because I made my commission.
Yeah.
And then I had put tenants in there. And so you know how when you close on something, like I closed on March, my first payment wasn't until May.
Right.
So I didn't make a payment April. So I pocketed 11 grand and I started a rental account, and like that's where my mortgage comes out of. That's where the rents go to. That's where the expenses. So that was the first purchase.
Okay.
So in my head, like I know that I wasn't going to be able to buy anything for a year, right? Because I was like, if I was going to do another owner occupied purchase, you have to wait. So I found something. One of my developer clients sent it to me like, hey, this doesn't work for us. The guy said he might do seller's financing. You should just call him. So I call him, I look at it, and it's the ugliest house. It's like a makeshift duplex. Well, it's a real duplex, but it's like this old beat up house on the front, this 1998 add-on. And it's like vinyl siding. One is
Half
like one of them is vinyl siding. Other front unit is like cedar shake. It's like baby blue, and like the tan, the roof it's like bad. And so like I don't want to buy this thing. Like I'm not going to buy this. Right. So I like look at the numbers. No, I look at the numbers. I'm like, this thing actually kind of works.
Pencils out.
Right. It kind of works. So like, long story short, I call like a mentor of mine, old school real estate commercial guy. We already had a conversation previously about something. So I'm like, hey, this guy is willing to do seller's financing. He wants 20,000. And I need another 20,000 to fix up the front unit, because he only had a tenant in the back unit. In the front one, you need to redo everything.
Right. So you're not going to get a tenant.
Yeah. So if you look at my vlog, I think it's episode 2 or 3. It actually shows me doing the home inspection and going through it and all of this stuff. So like, so the second purchase that I made is like that's documented. And so basically, I buy it. I give him $20,000 down. I'm scared, right? Because like I've never done a land sale contract, so I'm like, can this thing just blow up in my face? Like, and
lose money.
They can, but that's a different story. So long story short, I put 20,000, give him 20,000. So I buy this. It's on like 122nd and Market, so in between Division and Stark. So it's kind of a rougher part of town where we are, but it's a 15,000 square foot lot. And it's a duplex on there. So at the time, it was zoned to where I could put another 3 units in the back.
Wow.
And so I knew a zoning change was coming in that multifamily. And so I bought it, and then 2 years, 18 months later, the zoning changes. So now I can build probably 10 units on it.
Oh, wow.
Add an additional 10 units. So long story short, I guess to move forward, I bought it for $292, right? So he owed $270. And so this is when you do a land sale contract, what you're not supposed to do, they're not supposed to have a mortgage, because there's something called an acceleration clause that if the lender that has the loan finds out that they transferred it, they can say, all the money's due right now
Right
at this
now.
moment.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, risked it. Like I didn't care. So I gave him 20,000 and then I just made his payment.
Yep.
Right. I made his payment. And then I refinanced it. So I bought it for 292. I put 20 grand into the front unit, 10 grand into the roof, 10 grand into the back unit. And it just appraised for 425. And this was in July. So this is like last month. And I got sued by the back tenant too.
Oh no.
While I was building a tiny house, I got sued. So that cost, legally I can't say because we settled.
Yeah.
But like, let's just say it was a hair north of 10 grand.
Okay. And that was your
second purchase. And this was 6 months after the first one.
Yeah, but was that your third tenant or your second tenant? Did you have two tenants in the first one?
Yes, I had two tenants in the first one.
So you're still just learning. Like this is only your third tenant that you've ever
but it happened later on. So like I already had rehabbed it.
Okay.
And he was back there. I started to build a tiny house in the back. So like I said, it's a 15,000 square foot lot. So it's like relatively, it's a big lot. So I started building a tiny house and he just didn't like that. So I think that he was probably doing a lot of things back there he shouldn't have been doing. So he felt that it was an invasion of privacy, me being back there.
Yeah.
And so I think like the original, when I got the thing in the mail, it was like for 54 grand. He was like, you have to remove the tiny house, do all this. And so when I got sued, I had just bought my third one. Maybe 2 months before that, I just spent 70 grand. And then after I spend all my money, don't really have that much money from like maxing myself out. Then I get a lawsuit in the mail for 54 grand.
You're like, oh, great.
And I'm just like, this is the worst time to get sued. Not that there's a good time to get sued, but like, but long story short, we end up wrapping it up, which ended up working in my favor because once he moved out, I redid that unit, put a tenant in there, and the tenant that I ended up getting was like an insurance tenant. So like her house caught on fire. I was putting it on the market for $1,500 a month. I got like $1,900 for 6 months. And so the reason why I worked in my benefit is because I got a chance to remodel that unit before, because I had 18 months to do the whole thing.
Right.
So like to refinance it. So it worked out in my favor.
So you put two tiny houses in the back, and that's the property that will, if you decide to build 10 units back there, you're just going to move the tiny houses
I just roll them away.
Are those rented right now?
They're rented right now. So I have two tiny houses. And if you go on my vlog, you can see them both. I think it's called Tiny World. I have two tiny houses. One I built for 30 grand, including the infrastructure and everything. Like when I say infrastructure, like.
Is there any rules about renting tiny houses?
Can't do short-term rental. So you can't Airbnb them, but you can rent them out. You have to have access to sanitation. So when I bought that property, it already had sewer going to the back. So I just tied in, but like I spent 7 grand. It has its own meter. So I have enough room for 3 tiny houses back there.
Wow.
So I have 2. So I can actually put one more, but I'm not going to. But so I have that. So my tiny houses rent for $875 a month, and I have 2 of them. And one of them I borrowed some money to get, and then the other one I built. So that one is my cash cow. So my mortgage on it is like 18. And so I rent one unit for $1,450, one unit for $1,425, and then the tiny house for $875. And then on the other one, I only make like a couple $100 a month on the tiny house, but it's like, and that's the one that makes the money. And then when I divide the lot on it, I'm going to build another 8 units on it.
Yeah.
So
I want to talk about your vlog.
Okay.
And I think it's awesome. I watch them all the time. And when did you start it?
I started it in December. First vlog came out December 3rd, 2018. And I started filming it in October of 2018.
Okay. So talk to me about kind of what your intention was for it and what's your strategy and why'd you do it?
I actually have an email that I sent to a camera guy and that I wanted to do a vlog in January of 2012 explaining the same exact thing that I'm doing now. And I've been wanting to do this for a long time.
Okay.
I've always liked documentaries and like watching, I guess I was the kid like love the rags to riches stories kind of thing. Like I used to love reading those. So my thing was like how I grew up. Like my mom had me when she was 16.
Wow.
And so my dad went to jail when I was super young, and like I had a good dad, but he just couldn't stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
And so like I grew up a little bit harder. in the sense I didn't do good in school, and it's because I just didn't care. Like I was out doing what I felt like I needed to do was more beneficial for me at the time. So long story short, I wanted to document a real rags to riches story. Like you can see this day one, like, you know, as close as to day one I can get it. Like it took me a long time to be able to do it because it's expensive. Like I have a camera guy, he edits everything, he shoots everything. Like I don't edit everything. It's like high quality. So like it's a good vlog.
You started off on the right foot.
Yeah, I started
on. You didn't just like start.
No.
And then it built up. It's pretty much the same.
It's the same.
It's the same from the beginning. Your first one to your one now.
Right, exactly.
They're all really consistent in terms of how it's set up and how it looks and how kind of the flow of it all. It's very consistent. And that's, I mean, people that watch that kind of stuff appreciate that because it's just so much easier. You're listening to the story instead of looking at how it was filmed and how it was shot. And, oh, well, they messed that up or what.
Right,
you know what
exactly.
I'm saying? Like,
so for me, it was just to document a genuine story, right? So then like, because I mean, I feel like I know where I'm going. Yeah. And so I feel like when some, like, you know, when the young kid asks me, how did you get here? Like watch episode 406 where I did this and whatever. Like, so I guess my thing is to be able to document the real story. And if it never blows up, hopefully my great grandkids won't destroy whatever wealth that I leave. Cause like grandpa worked really hard. Like you can see this right here. It's documented, right? It was just more so, and just to be able to show people that like look like me and come from situations that I come from. Like you can come from doing all of this stuff and living like this. And I guess to show the success story of like, you don't have to be, you know, the rapper or the basketball player or some type of entertainment celebrity. Like you can just start from zero and just, that's my thing. So it's just to be able to motivate and to show audience of people what success looks like, not in the traditional success form of have to wear big chains and play basketball.
Well, and also we should probably also preface this by saying, you know, we are in Portland and that diversity is not the most here.
Right.
So there's not a lot of black real estate agents.
So so I think.
Do you know how many there are?
I don't. But there's not a lot. So to preface, this is the whitest city in America.
Yes.
So I think like our population, I'm going to butcher it. It's either 6% black.
I think it's 3 or 4.
Or it might be 2. I think it's either 2 or it's 6.
Between 2 and 6.
Right. It's in between 2 and 6.
It's not more than 7.
Right. And so if we have a city of 500,000 people, right, or maybe a little bit more now, but like there's not a lot of us. So it's like to come to grow up in the whitest city in America and to be able to do real estate and to be able to, you know, to do things. It's like I mean, early on, like I've had those questions, like, how am I going to be perceived? Yeah. But it's just one of those things. It's like, there's only one way to find out, and it's to do it. So,
Going back to your blog real quick, you know, you have them on YouTube.
Right.
How are you using that as a strategy in your business, or are you?
I am, but it's not necessarily intentional.
Okay.
So my vlogs are posted on like a Facebook like page. Anyone who wants to watch it, it's Making of a Mogul, and it's Antoine Dean, and it's like ANTOINE Dean. And so that's where you can find it. As far as how am I using it, I think I've gotten a lot of business from people that I know and people that like who loosely know me because of it. And so it's not like I'm getting a whole bunch of people that I don't know from it, but it's like it keeps me in front of my audience because it's like in real estate, they always tell you like, you know, have some type of system where you stay in contact with your clients. But like my clients literally watch my life and my story. So it's like, even if I never talk to them, like they see it. So it's like, it's one of those things that kind of works a little bit. I mean, when they think of real estate, they think of me because they see me once every week, once every 2 weeks coming out with something, even if they don't actually watch the whole thing. Or they know about it. They know about it. So even if you read just the title, like, oh, he's doing this right now. So it's like, you know, so I think it's worked in a way of like, it's got me a lot of people who could have easily steered in another direction to someone else, because it's like, these aren't people that I'm like marketing to directly. It's people who have chosen to follow what I'm doing, and then they'll reach out to me, kind of thing. Yeah. And you said 2 really good points. You said that, you know, people are coming to you and you've created, we always talk about here at All Things about, you know, finding your tribe and finding your people. And you've kind of flipped that. Like your tribe is finding you. Right. And that's what you want. Right. You know, and the other thing you said was that you like it.
And we say it all the time that if you try to do a CRM system or a touch system where you're reaching out to your client, and if you don't like, if a coach or somebody is telling you, you should be doing this, so you try that and you don't like it, but you're not going to do it.
Right.
It's not going to work. You
I've
have to
tried,
do stuff.
Yeah. I tried CRMs and I can't get any of them to work. I just can't. And and I think even now, like, where I'm trying to build my business is not necessarily in the retail fashion.
Yeah.
Right. So like right now, like my favorite thing to do is to find off market lots for my builders.
Yep.
And because what it does is I get multiple transactions out of it. Right. So like I found something like, you know, a deal on market where they buy it. I make my commission. They tear it down. They build 2 houses. I sell them both and I get 3 commissions in 1 year from one client.
Right.
And my builder clients, our interests are 1,000% aligned because they want to sell this thing as much as I want to sell it because they don't get paid until it sells. I don't get paid till it sells, and they're going to price it properly. Right. Yes. And so they're going to do what they need to do to sell it. So I think that's like one of my favorite like relationships to have. And it's like fun for me. So like the property that we kind of set this off air, but like the property that I'm buying right now, probably worth $325, right?
Yeah.
I'm buying it for $316, which to the naked eye isn't that much of a discount. But if you know that it's on a lot that you can split and sell for $125,000
that
now,
somebody else isn't going to do.
Exactly. That they're not going to do. Yeah. So I buy it, I split it. Now I have something that I could flip or a rental that like I can't lose on. Like I could legit put this thing on the market, make $100,000. Like, and it's like, I can't lose on it.
Well, and the other thing you talked about too, is that you've built relationships with these investors,
right?
And it's people that aren't just your clients, but you're learning from them,
right?
And they're calling you if they don't want a property,
right? Right.
They're like,
exactly.
Hey, you might want this. So I think to me, you've built a dream business,
right?
Because it works for you. It's what you want to be doing.
Right.
And how fun, like every day, you just don't know what's going to happen. If somebody's going to call you and say, hey, there's this property, or, hey, I need you to find me this lot,
right.
You know, and you get to go out and do that all the time.
And
so here's a question too. Like, I always think about this, and I think a lot of people do, about investors. If you're looking for the same types of properties as your investors, how do you balance that?
So you try to never be in competition with your clients.
Yeah.
So like, for example, I am not a builder. So like I found something. So this is how this last purchase happened. So I'm in Dallas, right? I see this thing that comes on the market and I'm like, I call my guy. I'm like, I want to write an offer on this. What would you pay for the back lot? He's like, I already wrote an offer on it. And I'm like, okay. So, but like, this is my guy. So he's like, this is exactly what I wrote. He was like, I would prefer, because he doesn't want to buy the whole thing. Like he's a builder. He didn't want the whole thing, right? Because I want the house. He wants the lot.
Oh, wow.
So we actually worked together. So he told me his offer and I made an offer better than his offer. And so like I end up getting it and we're actually working together on it.
Oh,
so like
fun.
I'm not a builder. So like I'm not trying to build. I'm just trying to know, like buy something that I know a builder would want the lot off of so I can get a deep discount on the house.
Okay.
So we're not really competing. Like maybe if I had a flipper client, that might be a different story. But with my builder clients, like I'm not competing with them. And then even in the event that I find something that they want and I build on it, I'm going to contract them to build it.
Right.
So they're still going to make money off of me anyway.
Yeah.
So like right now, and I guess I didn't say this yet, but something I closed on like early this month is something I got for like $150. I'm going to tear it down and build 6 attached townhouses.
In Portland?
Portland.
Oh, wow.
So this is the one I told you that was by the meat market, Garner's Meat Market.
Oh, yeah.
So it's zoned.
Which happens to be next to my grandmother's house.
Right.
From way back in the day.
So
Portland's so small.
Definitely. And so I'm going to contract them to build it. So they'll make their money building it, you know, for me.
Yeah.
And so like I'm not a builder, so we're not necessarily in competition.
True.
And if I do, like a couple builders that I work with, but I have like, you know, you always have your go-to. So like, he gets all of like anything that I find, like he takes a look at it first. If he doesn't want it, then I send it to everyone else.
Right. Are you ever tempted to flip?
So I will flip. Okay. I guess so. This property that I'm buying, I don't want to say I'm a hoarder. I haven't I'm kind of a hoarder.
I think I called you that.
I'm
like you're just hoarding all your properties.
I'm just, cause like this one is a prime candidate. The one that I'm buying right now, I should flip this. Like I could make $100,000. like easily.
Right.
And, or like maybe 85 after commissions. But like I could make a nice chunk on it. And it's like, this will be a good flip. But I'm just like, no, I'll keep it.
Yeah.
What I'm going to be able to do is be able to pull basically, I'm going to be into it for 200. I'm going to refinance it for 240. So I'll make 40. Like some flippers, their goal is to make 50. So it's like, if I can make 10 grand less than someone's goal, keep the property, still have equity and cash flow and get the write-offs, like I'll just 1031 later.
Okay.
And, you know.
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like it's also a matter of, you know, okay, I flip it, but then am I in the position right now, or do I even want to try to find something to do with that money, you know, and invest it in something else? You know, it's all in where you're at in the moment. So our market is super hot right now. Like you're closing on something tomorrow for yourself. I myself am looking, but I'm being a looky-loo because I'm like, I'm not buying a house at the height of the market right now. Like, no way. I'm not, you know, I'm not getting into a multiple offer situation. I totally feel like a buyer. You know, I sound like one. Like when I talk to realtors, I'm like, no way am I buying right now. But, you know, it's one of those things where it goes back to working for you and where you're at in your life and your business and all that. So when you bought recently in this crazy market, like, did you get a good deal, or like what prompted you? How did that happen?
So are you talking, were we talking about the one I'm talking about splitting the lot off of? So
that's the one you're closing on tomorrow.
That's the one I close on tomorrow.
Okay.
So, I mean, that one, so I guess I didn't give you
just happened to work out.
Yeah, I didn't give you, well, I wrote a cash offer and closed in 10 days.
Okay. Because of the lot split.
Because of the lot split.
Okay.
Because I guess the thing is I'm insulated, right? So like he's going to buy it for 125. I have a house that's worth 300,000 that I'm into for 200,000.
Yeah.
I can't lose. Even if the market went down 20% the next day, right? I like close on this tomorrow, market goes down 20% tomorrow, I still won't lose on that house.
Right. See what I'm like thinking about this right now. What I find so interesting about you and also about realtors is that your brain works completely different than mine. Like I would probably never find a property like that. I mean, maybe if I had a client that really needed it or whatever, you know, but you're so immersed in that part of the business and you stick to that side of the business because that's what you like. Right. It's what you're good at and you're getting better at it. And I think that a lot of times realtors don't tend to go the path that they should, because, you know, you talked a couple times about, you know, sometimes it's scary and sometimes it's a risk and things like that. But I just love that you're following that and you're being really calculated about it. You're not willy-nilly any of this. Like you have a plan.
Right. No, definitely.
So, and I love that you're like actually doing that and sticking and you're building on it and you're getting really good at it. So what's your long-term plan?
So
because I know you have one.
Right. So the long-term plan.
I don't.
So initially I got into real estate because I wanted to be a real estate developer.
Yeah.
That was day one. That's what I wanted to do. So like when
and that still holds true.
Yeah, that still holds true. So like my first development project would be these 6 attached townhouses, but those are like 18 months out. So I probably will build something before I build that. But long story short, my 10-year is like, I want to be like, I don't necessarily want to be an agent anymore. I have a team. Maybe I have 2 people because I still have people coming to me and maybe like I'm involved in it. Right. Yes. But like my everyday is like, I'm more like, I'm looking for like deals, but ideally I want to get into commercial real estate. But like with everything that's happened in the last 3 months, it's kind of, it's kind of shifted. And so I think that commercial real estate will always be around. Yeah. I think it's just going to it's just going to change. Right. So I have a couple like concepts for some things that I want to do in spaces that I think like would work. Yeah. So I would see myself in commercial real estate.
Selling it or developing
it? No, just building.
I can see you doing
building and like renovating more so.
Yeah. Okay.
I met somebody who owns probably $40 million worth of real estate on Alberta. Yeah. Alone. Yep. And I think collectively they own probably like $100 million worth of real estate, and they did in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And so like, so this is someone like that, like I like cold, like I legit saw his number. I called him on a Thursday. He didn't answer. I called him on a Friday. He didn't answer. I called him on Saturday. He didn't answer. I let him rest on Sunday. Called him Monday. He didn't answer. And I called him and his partner every time too. Well, so I think it was on a Friday, Saturday. I don't think I called on a Thursday. It's Friday, Saturday, didn't call Sunday, called Monday. Like, hey, I have a question about one of your properties. He's like, can you send me an email? I go in for the kill. Like, since the property's on like Alberta, cause I legit live on like 3 blocks off of it. Like, this is my neighborhood. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
He sits down, he has lunch with me, and he drops, a couple gems that, like, if you weren't in the mindset to pick them up, you would have missed the whole thing.
Yeah.
So like my whole thing is like, I only buy value add properties. Like if I can't do something to it and there's no value add, like I can't buy it. How I look at my real estate investments right now, it has to be a good enough deal for me to put money into it and pull that money back out to be able to use it. So like I can't tie up any amount of money. Like I'm not looking to, I don't buy properties and I make a down payment of $100,000 and that $100,000 is going to appreciate. Like I have to buy it, put that $100,000 into it, be able to pull at a nice chunk of it back out because I have to redeploy that capital. Like I'm trying to get more velocity on my money. So like before I got this property that I'm looking at now, there was a triplex that was a crazy steal that came on the market at like $350. Like I kid you not. Dang. So like I was going to write a cash offer, literally put a new roof, paint it, refinance it, pull all the money back out. So that's my thing. Like as a rental, like I'm going to buy it with cash with my relationship that I have or my private lender. Mm-hmm. And if I want it, I'm going to refinance it, pull all the money back out, pay him, have some equity and reuse that capital. I'm going to reuse it as fast as I can and build up my portfolio. And if I find something that I want to flip that I don't want to keep, I'll flip it.
Yeah. You talked about cash too. We talked about this a little bit. You're not talking about hard money. You built a relationship with a lender.
Right.
That's another aspect of the business that people don't always think about, because if they're thinking about hard money, that's just pressure.
Right.
Because you got to get rid of it quickly or, get it refinanced in a certain amount of time or it's just killing you.
Right.
So how did you find your lender?
So when I bought my second duplex, there was someone who I borrowed $40,000 from.
Oh, right.
And so when I refinanced it, I refinanced him his money back. Right. Yeah. He is in a situation to where like he's invested in some stuff. So he was initially going to be the one that was going to give me cash for stuff, but he's tied up in something. This is recorded, but it's not released. So I legit call him and the phone call, like I'm recording, like when I say recording, like a video. So I'm like, I'm sitting on the phone. I'm just going to call him right now. I'm like, hey, do you know anyone who would be willing to lend like the relationship that like we would have had before you like purchase what you're getting ready to purchase? He's like, I might have a guy. He's like, how much are you looking for? And I'm like, $500,000. And he was like, I don't know if he'll give you that, but I have 2 people in mind. Let me give you a call back. Calls me back a week later with somebody that he's known for a long time. And so mind you, the guy that I asked, like I have a really good relationship with. Like the first $1 million property I sold, he bought cash.
Oh, he bought.
So the guy that I'm asking, who I asked for the $40,000, who I asked, does he know anyone? He bought a house last year for 1.3 cash.
From you?
From me.
Okay.
And then he ripped it down to the studs and remodeled. It's $500,000 remodeling it.
Wow.
He's a commercial old school real estate. He has like buildings that are paid off, free and clear.
Yeah.
So I asked him and he's like, I have someone. I think I have someone. Call this guy. And so he's like, I don't know how much he's going to lend you. Like, I don't know. Like,
that's on you.
You got to figure this out.
Yeah.
And so I call him. We have a conversation. It's like, if you find something, let me know. And it was kind of like, I was super excited. Maybe a month passed by. I hadn't really like looked for some stuff. And I called him back like, hey, I'm still looking for some stuff. Like, I'm just trying to figure some things out. Yeah, I haven't disappeared. Kind of thing. It's like, oh yeah, I thought about you. And so long story short, I call him, I see this property, the one that I was saying that I bought for $150 that I'm going to develop. And I'm like, I know initially we didn't talk about like more so flipping things, but like, I want to buy this thing. I want the tenants to be in here for 18 months. I'll pay you the interest for the 18 months. But can we work something out to where the interest is suspended after it goes vacant so then I can build on it? He has first lien on it.
Yeah.
So he's a trustee. So I negotiated something with him to where for this project, I'm paying him the interest on it. Once the tenants move out, his loan is now reconveyed and it's a JV, so a joint venture. So now we're business partners at an 87.5%. 12.5% split.
Yeah.
And the heavy side would be me. Right.
Yeah.
So like, I can't ask for, any more better situation than that. But what I asked them was like, if we do this deal, like, I'll pass up on this if this is going to tie up everything that I have. Like, I would rather be able to, like, I don't want to bank something on an 18-month thing. He's like, if you're asking, is there more money available? Yes. So then I find something else. I write an offer cash, doesn't work out. A couple of weeks later, I find what I'm purchasing now.
Yeah.
What I had left out to you is that the agent was selling 2 houses side by side, same owner. And I made a cash offer on both of them. And so I call him. I'm like, hey, I know I said I want to like borrow, 3, but like, I kind of need to buy the house next door. He's like, oh, it's fine. And so, so now, like with this guy, I probably have close to $900,000 out on these 3 properties.
Yeah.
One of them I'm going to turn around and sell immediately. Like I bought it just to sell it. I got it at a decent discount, and I'll probably make a $5,000 selling it. Right. But like,
it's about that relationship.
Yeah, it's about the relationship. So long story short, I'm saying all of this to say, like, I just asked, like, and he wasn't my guy that I called. I called other people too, but like, I knew that he was probably going to know someone. Right. But like, I asked a couple people, and like, you just have to get comfortable. Like when Corona first hit, I got on the phone. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. Right. But there may be some opportunity. I want to be in position to take advantage of these opportunities. Yeah. Here I am.
That's dope. Because really, and I love that, like, you catered what you wanted in that loan.
Right.
And he agreed. Right. So just like you said, just ask.
Right.
you know?
Exactly. So,
and also being creative. I mean, realtors do it all the time.
Right.
You got to get creative in everything that you do. And so why not do it with your loans?
Right.
Make it work for you.
Right.
Otherwise it's going to fail.
Definitely.
You got to make it so that it's actually working.
Right.
The last thing I want to talk to you about is I want to go back to your vlogging, because that is your main source of marketing, right?
Right. I think that's probably the only market. Well, I do some other things, but that's like, that's your main thing. That's my main thing.
When you're doing the vlogs, are you setting out to a specific audience? Are you just literally documenting your stuff for you? And then it obviously will resonate with someone or whatever.
That's
like, what is that I would
your
approach?
Say my approach is more so that I don't create any moments. Like I literally just document.
It's just what you're doing.
What I'm doing, right? And so, I mean, I have the idea behind it. And like I said, where the idea is the audience is to inspire, like give like hope to the hopeless, or people who like haven't seen someone that looks like them be successful in real estate. Like this is what that looks like, And so I think that's what it is. But on the day to day, like the next vlog that I'm going to do is the properties that I'm buying. Like I'm buying these 2. This is you know, and so
do you plan them ahead of time or like write out what you...
I have an idea of what I want to capture that day. Right. So like, I want to shoot this. This is what I'm doing right now. This is what I want to shoot. But like, everything is just like off the cusp. Like I have an idea of what I'm going to shoot because I have to.
But you're not writing out like a storyboard.
No, I don't.
Like all this
it's not
planning.
Like there's times that like I shoot stuff and like I don't know what I'm going to say until I like I named my tiny houses in one of my vlog, and it's just like Cedar Money and Blue Sexy. Like that's what I thought of at that. So everything is like completely unscripted because I want it to be genuine. Like my biggest fear before starting the vlog is that I was going to come across as like a corny YouTuber, And so it's like more so than anything, I wanted it to be genuine, that someone could
authentic.
Listen to it and watch it. If like, this is a real person, like doing something, not like I'm creating this thing, like I'm doing this. You can
make $1 million.
Yeah. And so my thing is like, I show like real stuff to where the point where like you're a part of the story loosely, right? I bought a Mercedes.
I always think about this.
So I bought a Mercedes. And so, Tracy has
that I didn't keep.
So Tracy has, she's known for her fly cars, right? So
she's a car junkie.
She's known for her fly cars. So I call her like, hey, I'm looking at car. Like I was going to buy the same car that she had at the time. And I'm like, where do you buy your cars from? So she told me where she buys her cars from. I go down there and I buy a car. I keep it for probably a little bit less than a year. And I document the vlog of me returning my car because
it was a sad day for me.
Right. So I returned my car because like there's something with, because I guess my audience is realtor. So everyone, is debt to income ratio. So like, I had bought 2 things. So like my debt to income ratio was like, I'm trying to buy a 3rd thing. Like it doesn't look like it was going to happen. So I'm like, what's the easiest debt that I can get rid of?
Yep.
The car.
The car.
And so like I document me taking my car back and going back to my Toyota Camry, right?
And that is not a thing that people do.
Right.
People don't like that. I don't even think it would cross their mind.
Right.
It wouldn't mind. Like,
right.
I'm like, no way. I
tell my clients to do it. So like, I'll show you that I've done it. Like,
yeah.
I took back the car and like, I don't miss the car. Like
At all.
I don't miss the car.
No.
And so, but the loophole that I figured out is you get a business loan for the car instead of personal.
Exactly.
And then it doesn't show. And then it doesn't show up on your personal.
Yeah.
If I would have knew that then, I would have kept the Mercedes.
Now I just got to figure out what the next car
exactly.
Eventually. But okay, so and then the last thing I wanted to ask was, how do you take like your commissions and what you make in real estate? Does that go into your investments? Do you hold some of that, or do you put a percentage? Like, how do you split off? I mean, obviously you need what you're going to live on, but are you making money in real estate to spend on investments, or are your investments strictly other loans and, you know, that kind of stuff?
So the idea is, yes, to make my commissions, save those to invest in real estate.
Okay.
I will say as of tomorrow, out of the 5 properties that I've had, I've only had to come up with money for 1.
Right.
So the idea is, yes, I save my commissions for investments, but I actually have never really had to use it. So the first property, like I made 10,000 on. The second one, I borrowed 40. And then after I got to a certain point, refied them out. The third one, I put 10% down and used my commission as my closing costs. The 4th one, that's the one where I'm going to build the townhouses. And then the 5th one is the one that I'm buying. And so basically my guy is giving me like 100% financing. He's giving me 325. I'm buying it for 316 because I negotiated. But initially I was buying it for 325. I'm going to sell the back lot, pay him that, and then refinance the other 200 and then pull out 40 on the refi. I haven't actually had to
come out of pocket.
Right. But I guess the thing is, last year I spent like $100,000 on like real estate stuff. So like I put like 30,000 on the down payment, 20 grand into my tiny house, got sued for 10. That's 60. I did 2 new roofs. So that all
came out of your personal.
That came out of all of my personal.
But you can write all that stuff off.
It was all, yes, it was all written off. So so it was 30 for the down payment, 20 in the tiny house, 10 on the lawsuit. That's 60. 2 new roofs. That's 20. 10 on a remodel. It's 100. So like,
so you are using.
So I am using my money, right? But like, I just haven't had to use it for purchases yet.
Right.
And so the idea is like, I'm hoarding all my cash right now. Yeah. Thankfully this year I haven't had to spend like any money on real estate. And like, I have more money than I've ever had because I didn't have to spend any money this year. Do you feel like
you're just sitting on it? Like, what am I going to do with it? Or
well, the idea is that I'll probably use it as a down payment on some type of commercial thing. Okay. Right. So like ideally I want to, and I figured
you had a plan
for
it.
Yeah. So ideally I want to find some type of seller finance commercial real estate deal that I can bring like 20% in. And so maybe I don't have all of the money. Maybe it's $1 million thing and I have $100,000 and my guy, I use his $100,000 and then like I use his $100,000 and maybe some money from him to fix it and, you know, do whatever. So like, that's the idea. So this is my 2021 goal. I'll give it to you right now. So I want to get a house built, right?
Okay.
I just came from looking at something that was in Irvington.
Yeah.
It was on same thing, corner lot. It had a lot that you could split. It's multifamily zoning. So what I want to do, I want to buy a house, fix it up, split the back lot. So when I sell the house, whatever the money I make, I'll just use it to be less into the lot. Build 2 townhouses, sell one, keep one, and be into one for like super like little to nothing.
Yeah.
Right. Cause like I still live at home. So I pay like $300 a month, even though like I'll have 10 units. Right. I still live at home and I'm like, I try to keep my expenses low and the income high. So I'm like, if I could buy something, fix it up, sell it, make a little bit of money to be into the lot for cheap, get a hard money loan, build something, sell one, keep one, and live in it. I think I figured like depending on what I buy, I'll be into it. Depending on the property, anywhere from 100 to 200 grand, and it'll be worth, the townhouse will be worth from 400 to 500,000. I'm going to live at home until I can find this thing.
Yeah. Well, that'll be our net. We'll have you
Right.
back next
Okay, you
year.
can have me back. Right.
And then we'll find out if you have indeed moved into the townhouse.
I'm looking for this like religiously. Like,
right.
That's
you
what
just
I want.
put it out there, so now it's gonna. Because I've been looking for a lot in Portland, but I'm being a picky buyer, and I'm not finding it, and it's just hard. There's not a lot. I'm not looking for it as an investment property, so I don't want a corner lot. I don't want to be in a neighborhood. I'm like, I want to be secluded and like hidden, and they exist, but it's about an 80-degree slope angle. And my builder's like, no, we're not building a stilt house for you.
Because the foundation's going to be really expensive.
Maybe I will be in a house by then too. I'll have to have you back.
Off air, you probably have to tell me what you're looking for.
I will.
I know,
right? Right. Now you're going to call me next week and be like, I have a lot for you.
I have a lot for you.
I'm not all the way ready. And this is exactly how this kind of stuff works is, again, going back to everything you just said, relationships, talking, asking people for what you want and what you're looking for. And I think that, a lot of times we as realtors need to hear that.
Right.
So I appreciate you and everything that you
most
brought today.
Most definitely.
I know people are going to get something out of this. And
hopefully.
Easily.
Yeah.
So where can everybody find you? We didn't really talk about this a whole lot, but you've been cutting off some of your social media stuff.
So I'll be back on social media shortly. So like, I'm really only on Instagram. I mean, I have YouTube, Instagram, and I have like a Facebook like page. So like on everything, it's Antoine J Dean, and Antoine is spelled Antoine, and it's J Dean. So like, that's all. I'm deactivated on social media right now. I will be back shortly. I had to get into like my beast mode kind of like vibe. So like I had to just like cut everything out. And it's hard for me to get off social media because like people follow me. Well, not even that, but people watch my vlogs. Right. And I get a lot of DMs, people asking me questions and wanting to reach out to me. So for me to go cold is different. Like I usually will just not get on it for a while, but like legit deactivating, like you can't find me. I've never actually done it.
Well, you're on your YouTube channel, so it's not like you're gonna all the way disappear.
I'm not gonna disappear. Like
what you exactly.
I'm just, but I'll be back shortly. But
go find him on his next. When's your next YouTube coming?
So I just released something yesterday. So
good.
Maybe my release schedule is like every week or every other week.
Dang.
That's
ambitious.
So that's what I've been doing for a while. Sometimes it's a little bit longer. It just depends.
All right.
But for the most part, every week, every other week.
Well, they can go find you on YouTube.
Yes, YouTube. Yeah. Email me.
Perfect. He's a realtor. He's not hard to find.
I'm not hard to find. My number is everywhere. Right.
Exactly. That's because you're a realtor.
Right. I've gotten random calls from Florida, Detroit.
Yeah.
Everywhere. New York,
that just
New Jersey.
Means you're doing it right.
Right. Like random places.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Call me. I'm here.
All right. Well, thanks for coming.
No, you're welcome.
You're
welcome. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely.